All right, welcome to another episode of Piecing It Together, the podcast where we take a look at a new movie and try to figure out what movies inspired it. And today on the show, we are talking about the epic conclusion of the Jurassic World trilogy, which also ties together the Jurassic Park trilogy into a big, giant 6-movie series that went downhill really fast. But you know what? We're going to talk about it anyway. And joining me is Chauncey Telese. He's been here on the show before, and we're happy to have him back. We have a really fun conversation coming up, and we get to talk about dinosaurs. Who doesn't like talking about dinosaurs? Before we get to the conversation, I do want to remind you, as always, to make sure you're subscribed wherever you listen to podcasts. We've been doing great over on Good Pods lately, so if you use Good Pods to listen, make sure you're subscribed there. Click the 5-star button, comment with any puzzle pieces you think we might have missed out on, and I will read them on the next trailer episode, which we do every month at the beginning of the month here on the show. So, drop those comments. You can also follow us on social media at PiecingPod and join our Facebook group, Popcorn and Puzzle Pieces, where we continue the conversation about all the movies we talk about here on the show. So, I think with all that said, it's time to talk about some dinosaurs. All right, we are going to talk about Jurassic World Dominion today, and Chauncey Telese is back with us on the show. Chauncey, how's it going?
Wonderful, my 4th time. I'm one away from the jacket.
You're almost there. All you had to do was watch and talk about this movie. And why are we doing this episode, Chauncey? Do you know?
Well, because it was a big summer movie that people were anticipating, and there's a lot to talk about with it and why it was not good.
Yes, yeah. Well, there is plenty to talk about. I mean, this movie, aside from being a Jurassic World movie, a Jurassic movie, like dinosaurs, how can you not want to see that, even if it doesn't turn out good? There's definitely going to be a lot of entry points into this one. I mean, for one, it is the first in the series I've gotten a chance to do a full episode on here on Piecing It Together. And so if nothing else, I'm looking forward to talking about dinosaurs.
Yay. Although I don't know if I even call this one the dinosaur movie necessarily.
Right? It's kind of not. It's like a crops and locust movie.
Which
right?
I don't understand. Like, it had a perfectly good setup at the end. I was duped by that battle for Flat Rock or whatever that Trevorrow did 2 years ago, and then in the did you see Fast 9 and IMAX? They had the Jurassic World, the exclusive whatever.
Yes, I did.
Where it's all dinosaurs and ends with a mosquito. You're like, oh, cool, okay,
this is cool.
And I'm like, oh, we're gonna get a shit ton of dinos, and it's actually no, I'm just kidding. I described it as a Trevorrow with every Jurassic pitch, seeing the first movie at a bar with the sound off, but thinking he got the gist.
I completely get that because this movie does feel like somebody was just okay, dinosaurs, got it. That's the only real connection. Especially with the world, and I mean, obviously Fallen Kingdom wasn't him. Somebody else took the reins.
He wrote it though.
Yeah, and it's this series has just gone so far off the deep end.
The thing I also don't get, the ideas themselves are good. Jurassic World's idea was well, dinosaurs aren't enough, so we got to create a super dinosaur. Okay, I get that. The image of the teenager on his cell phone, texting while the Stegosaurus is behind him. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, and then selling dinos in the black market, good idea. And then even this, okay, well, what if dinosaurs are just part of our everyday life? Good idea, but the execution's just not there.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's right. And then we'll get into this with the puzzle pieces, but also, even though this is part 3 of a 3-part trilogy, which is itself a sequel to a trilogy, it also kind of functions as a legacy sequel to the original.
And even then, not really.
I mean, it gets everybody back together. So, and sells it on that.
I know. And that was, I'm like, okay, well, at least we'll have that. But then it occurred to me, I'm like, well, the new characters, they're not good.
Yeah.
I don't understand why, they doubled down on, and I like Chris Pratt, but, not in this mode. He's good and he's playing, doofus in over his head, Star-Lord.
Yeah.
Or Andy Dwyer on Parks, that kind of mode where it's he thinks he's an action star, but he's clearly not. Whereas this is oh no, I'm an action star.
Right, exactly. And it doesn't quite work when he's like that. But let's start getting into some puzzle pieces. Oh, did you?
No, I'm just doing the Pratt hand.
Oh, you're doing the yeah. Well, look, it works on a raptor. It just
Every
worked on me
dinosaur,
too.
they just get it.
I,
Like, oh, okay.
yeah, that is amazing. You know what? Actually, this movie was all worthwhile, if nothing else, for the memes about Chris Pratt doing the hands. So yeah, definitely. Let's start getting into some puzzle pieces. We'll get into all this that's working and not working along the way. But you know, normally I'd throw to my guest, but should we just kick it off with Jurassic Park?
Yeah.
As a puzzle piece. I mean, you know, the original, a lot of the plot is there. I mean, not a lot because there's so much plot happening here. It's just like kind of bits and pieces, but we do have enough of the plot that you should, I think, consider it a puzzle piece here. And, you know, Jurassic Park kind of comes up anytime we're talking about a monster or giant creature type movie. And I feel like we're so far off at this point in the Jurassic World series that it's almost like its own thing at this point. It's not even really a sequel anymore, even though I just said it's like a legacy sequel, but it's a little of both because it's so messy.
Yeah, I agree. And it takes the pieces of Jurassic Park that people like, but without examining why they like them.
Sure.
Like, there are a couple details I thought were funny, like Ian Malcolm's book. Like, the stuff with Jeff Goldblum was good. But it's like, but at the same time, I'm like, well, this doesn't really matter. Like, he didn't really do much in it. Like,
Right.
even in the second one, he shows up to speak against like the dino. I'm like, well, that's interesting because like he's been through a lot, so I get why he would be anti-dinosaur. And, like, this is all bad. But yeah, I just really felt very perfunctory.
Yeah. And I one thing, like, you know, of course, spoilers around, but, you know, I'm just going to jump all the way to the end because it just reminds me of, you know, this being used as a puzzle piece here. When the bad guy is trying to flee, and first of all, he's got the Barbasol can from the first one.
Which I
It's
don't
like,
know how
what?
he would have gotten that, but whatever.
How would he have possibly have that?
Or even known.
And then gets killed by the same dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Like, are you kidding me here?
Well, it's a lot like this is sort of a companion puzzle piece, but have you ever been on Jurassic World or Jurassic Park the ride at Universal?
Yeah, it just was like a month ago,
I'm
actually.
jealous. I haven't been since they remodeled it, but like it's like, Dilophosaurus, you like that thing, right? Remember, it spits. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's done like the ride, like we're gonna put all the highlights on here, and like there's kind of a story with it, but like
Yeah.
you're just here to get wet.
Yeah. Cinema as a theme park ride. Isn't that Scorsese? Didn't he say something like that?
He did, but you know, I don't think he meant it like that literally.
I don't think he could have imagined this. So.
No, and like it's just like we need to put some stuff in the ride to make it work. Except this was a 2.5 hour movie, but that's the other problem.
Yeah, and isn't that the problem with a lot of stuff now? But you know, it's no different here.
I know,
but yeah. Well, let's move on to some other pieces. What do you have for your first piece?
The first one's an obvious one, but The Force Awakens, because this is clearly wants to have its Force Awaken moments. Like, it wants to have Leia hanging out with Rey. In this case, Bryce Dallas Howard hanging out with Ellie Sattler. I forget Bryce Dallas Howard's character's name. Like, I remembered Pratt's as Owen Grady.
Was it Claire?
I think it's Claire.
Yeah.
But like have them talk and then have the moment where Pratt's like, oh yeah, I know you. You're Alan Grant. You train raptors. Like, in the other two, you've never mentioned Alan Grant once. Or how that would have been an inspiration to you. And like, of course, they all know Ian Malcolm. And it's like, oh, wow. So what? We just train raptors now. Oh, okay. Like, they want us to have all those moments, like Han Solo, like, or them calling the Millennium Falcon junk, and it's like, no, it's not junk. Like, they want those moments, or like, oh, Dodgson's back, when it's like Dodgson is like has like a scene in the first one is never mentioned again.
Yeah, like I said, the whole legacy sequel thing. I mean, you know, they want to bring in the new characters, but they want to have their cake and eat it too, basically.
Yeah, they want like the reunion special too, and like they want the moment of like Han and Leia embracing after God knows how long away from each other with like Grant and Ellie, and it's like, well, okay, but so, and now like in the third one, everyone was mad that she was married and had her own family, but it's like, and then like they're back together. It's like, I wasn't invested in that. Like, it's great. I love their dynamic, but even in the first one, they're not like clear on what their dynamic is either, which is okay. Right. Like, that's fine, but it was never, the movie wasn't interested in that in the first place. Like I know the
Sure.
book kind of is, but like they want to have that moment, but it's like you need to put in the work for that. Like Star Wars put in like
Yeah.
decades of work on that, like the trilogy and then all the subsequent books and stuff about Leia and Han together. Like this doesn't have that.
I feel like, I'm not going to sit here and defend Fallen Kingdom or anything like that,
Mhm.
but I feel like if Fallen Kingdom was a completely different movie that actually bridged some of this story together, we might be in a better place now.
They didn't think
You know?
about that. They're just like, well, let's do a haunted house movie, but with a dinosaur.
Yeah, yeah, just whatever works. Whatever we have at the moment, let's just run with that.
Also, they just don't know it. They wanted Wong to be the big bad, but then all of a sudden he's like, no, I actually regret all of this. My bad.
Yeah, I don't think they knew what to do with Wong at all, but that's, yeah.
It's so funny too. Do you remember when they were like teasing Jurassic Park 4 for like a long time, and there was all those plans like they were gonna have like human dinosaur hybrids and stuff?
Yeah,
Like,
which seemed like that's where we were headed.
right, and they kept a lot of the same ideas, but like for whatever and I don't understand why. Like you could have just started over and did anything with Jurassic World. Like
Yeah.
that's what I thought it was gonna be. Like, oh, the park's open. I get it. Like we're not learning from our mistakes, but man,
They just, yeah. I have to assume too many cooks. There's probably like so many rewrites going on that everything just kind of just doesn't even resemble
Mhm.
anything finished by the time we get to like the actual screen.
Right.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Since you brought up Star Wars, I'll go with the other elephant in the room when it comes to big blockbuster type things, and that's going to be the Avengers. We have our hero pose moments here where all of the team gets to stand together and the camera swirls around all triumphantly. And I think there's like at least 2 or 3 of these moments in here. So, I mean, we're really trying to create a team, even though this is the end of the trilogy. And by all means, I think we're headed for a reboot with new characters next time around. But they certainly, by the end, we've got like 9 heroes, and they all have their moments, and they all have to have their hero moments, and they all come together and save each other, and it's clearly like doing the whole team setup thing that has become such a big part of superhero movies right now.
Right. And the imitators showed us like how hard it actually is to do all of that.
Sure. It doesn't work unless you've invested in everything. I mean, look at the Justice League. Unless you've invested in all these characters,
You're right.
it's not going to pull together so quickly.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
My next one is gonna be the first X-Files movie. Like the scene where they go into the locust greenhouse thingy, and then all the locusts freak out and like start chasing them. That's just like the first X-Files movie where they go into the room full. Was it bees?
I don't remember. I'm sure I saw it back when it came out, but I don't.
You know what I'm talking about, right? Like they're like in the desert and there's like a tent, and then it's like, oh shit, they have like a super engineered bees or whatever, and they're having to run
like that.
the whole swarm behind them.
Yeah.
Like
that's funny. I haven't seen that since it came out, so I don't quite.
Neither
remember.
have I. I just remember that one because it was in all the. It was like the big money shot, like all the commercials in the trailers.
Yeah,
like the huge, like they have woken a huge swarm. They have to get out of there.
Well, as long as we're talking swarms, I guess I'll jump into my next piece, which also involves the swarms of locusts. I combined 2 things. I thought of the Matrix Revolutions,
oh yeah,
and this year's Moonfall, which I used Matrix Revolutions as a puzzle piece for. Again, just nanobot particle clouds. Basically the same thing as the locusts here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I don't know. I again, like we talked about at the beginning, like. Why is this like the big crux of the story? I'm just not sure who decided to go that direction. It's a weird choice.
There's one the way I thought they were gonna go with it was like, oh well, because Dodgen's gonna control the food, like humans and dinosaurs are all gonna compete for like special dominance and stuff, but like they never bothered to touch upon that.
Yeah, no.
That's the only. I'm like, okay, I guess it's gonna be like, well, all right, if he does this, then it really is dinosaurs versus humans. Like, who's gonna inherit the earth? But nope.
Yeah.
My other companion puzzle piece to you, it's a combination. It's it's Prey by Michael Crichton and Westworld season 4 is a lot of fly nanobot technology. So
okay.
Did a couple with you. I'm like, because Crichton just loves to do that too.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think, Prey is. I think it's Prey. There's 2 bug ones where like they created all these nano robots that can control you, and that's the locusts kind of like fill that hole.
Like, and the funny thing is, like, I get it. It's creepy, like, seeing those things, those big, giant, oversized bugs.
Mhm.
But it's like, again, what are we doing here?
And it's like, okay, so wait, they're imbued with dino DNA? Like, is that what we're doing? Because they don't really get into that.
So weird. I might as well jump to another piece since we're talking about these bugs again, and that's Peter Jackson's King Kong.
Oh,
which
okay.
This is one of those situations where you're talking about something that was inspired by the original that then went ahead and inspired a later entry in the series, because of course King Kong was inspired by Jurassic Park.
They make the joke.
Yeah, exactly.
In Jurassic Park, when they go through the gates, like, oh, what do you got in there, King Kong?
What do you got in there, King Kong? Exactly. And so I mean, it's so obviously there. But one of the big standouts though of Peter Jackson's King Kong was the bug pit. And so the locusts, as much as they don't make sense story wise, like why we would go there, they are super gross.
Mhm.
And I think that they're at least effective in that way, the way that Peter Jackson was using them.
Yeah, that's true. And again, the image is you get the image, like especially a storm of locusts like tear something apart. Okay, but like, well, I still don't understand it.
Right, exactly.
The next one, and again, this is a very loose puzzle piece, but Logan, because they have the clone girl, and like the whole point is like they're trying to save her and protect, get her out of there. Yeah. She's a superhuman. She doesn't know her full capability or full potential because no one's told her. And like that stuff seemed clunky because I think they're like, oh yeah, because I forgot. I'm like, what's her deal? I'm like, oh yeah, she was like a clone, or like John Hammond found out they were cloning people, and oh yeah, I totally had forgotten about that. Like most of Fallen Kingdom, I have no memory of. It was like we red boxed it, and we're like, oh, I'm glad we red boxed it. This isn't good. But okay, yeah. That's right. There was the clone girl, and there's like something special about her DNA, and they're trying to get the Claire and Owen are trying to protect her and then save and keep her from being harvested.
Yeah, and this is
sort of what happens in Logan, right?
Yeah.
Like they want to harvest her DNA.
Right, exactly. So that totally makes sense, and that's a great piece. I hadn't thought of that one, but that really works. And yeah, I mean, they want to harvest this clone for what it could do for science.
Sure.
And but why? Again, I don't know. But
well, you see, her DNA was so strong it could cure diseases, and then Dodgson could charge $1 trillion for the Alzheimer's serum. I think.
But now we're gonna have to get deep into this for a second, because didn't they end up saying like that she's not a clone or something like that? Like she was a clone in the last one, but now they're like, actually, no, your mom really had you and she loved you and blah blah blah. Like
they walked it back.
So they walked it back, but not in the plot, just in the story. Like
I think it was like, but your DNA is still special because she. It's like she and she like did IVF on herself, like with her own.
She has the Force, basically.
Yeah, with her own DNA into her, so it's like immaculate because there was no male component to it. She birthed her own clone. It's more like Attack of the Clones. They let Jango Fett creates Boba, but allows him to age at a normal rate.
No clue.
You know what I mean?
Have to take your word on that one.
Because like all the stormtroopers were Jango Fett's DNA, like they're all clones of him. But except he kept one to raise it at a normal human rate, and that was Boba.
Okay. There's a lot of Star Wars here, huh?
Well, it's there. It's looming. But yeah, that was a huge part of Attack of the Clones, with how they explained Boba Fett's origins.
Yeah.
Is that he too was a clone, except he's not a direct. He's Jango Fett's son, but like it's all his DNA. There's no mom.
I don't know. This movie is very strange. I'm gonna go with Don't Look Up, even though it's probably too recent.
I had that one too.
You do? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Tech billionaire weirdo. I mean, come on. It's like it's kind of a perfect way to describe what our villain in this movie is doing, and it's kind of like a lot more Tim Cook-ish. I would say.
That's what I thought. That's just Don't Look Up's thing. Like I thought, I was so surprised that Mark Rylance didn't play him. Like I had to look it up. I'm like, did Mark Rylance get buff for this? Because like this Dodgson's kind of like big, right? Like he looked like the bar rescue guy.
Yeah, sure.
The white hair but like muscle.
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah,
I guess it wasn't
totally.
Rylance because that would have completed his weird tech billionaire trilogy because he's got
Yeah.
Ready Player One, Don't Look Up, and he would have had that. He could have had this.
He's got time. I think he'll play another one at some point for sure.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
good at it, and I'm sure he wants a new kitchen. We all don't we all?
Yeah, so that's just a small one, but
That's a good one. I thought I had that same thought. I was like, oh yeah, it's kind of like I know obviously it's not because like Jurassic World was like more or less done before Don't Look Up came out, but like
sure.
it's
Yeah.
all like we need our Tim Cook, we need our tech billionaire. That's because that's sort of the new villain.
Yeah, tech billionaires are in the ether right now as like the bad guys,
They've been
of
for well over a decade. Like
yeah.
there was a little Kingsman in there too, like Sam Jackson's villain in Kingsman.
Oh yeah, yeah, sure.
Like
I could
there's a
see that.
little of like I just thought of that. Like but his was more directly I'm gonna wipe out humanity, whereas Dodgson's more like I'm just gonna control the food chain because we need more I want more money.
Right, right. Yeah.
My other puzzle piece, it's Quantum of Solace mixed with like Spectre and No Time to Die in terms of
Okay.
like the motorcycle chase through Malta. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
that's totally like Daniel Craig era Bond stuff.
Sure.
Like you got Claire and Owen kind of doing parkour mixed with like motorcycle chases, motorcycles on rooftops.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm pretty sure that I think they do motorcycle on rooftop in No Time to Die and Quantum of Solace.
Yeah, I think they did on both. Definitely No Time to Die.
Right. Like I barely remember because I know Solace they do a lot of the parkour stuff from Casino Royale, but I think there's a motorcycle element to it. But yeah, like that whole we needed the raptor chase, which was neat, but like it went on way too long.
Sure. Yeah. No, it was one of the better sequences of the movie though, like, because it's not all bad. And it's funny. I was thinking Fast and Furious for that,
That
but
too.
you're right. You're right though. Like the Bond movies, the Craig Bond movies are a better comparison. I think
Even
it
the
definitely.
Bourne, you could even throw Bourne in there too.
Yeah, yeah, Bourne as well. I mean, it's got that kind of action vibe that has been like really popular the last 10 years.
Mission
So
Impossible, you can squint and like they're trying to do some of that too.
yeah,
Obviously not as well done, but
yeah,
like we want our exotic location rooftop chase.
yeah. Well, speaking of it being like one of the better sequences in the movie, even if it's not, necessarily great, it's also when the supposed point that we were going to be getting at of dinosaurs and humans existing, together on Earth finally comes together. And it's not
Mm-hmm.
just like, oh, we're back at another park.
Yeah, and which is where the Dominion ends up is technically a park, like a facility.
Right,
Because
right.
like it ends basically where Fallen Kingdom ends, where it's like here's the Triceratops running through the savannah with like rhinos, and here's the Mosasaur for some reason not eating the humpback whales, but just
Yeah,
like in tune with their sound.
yeah,
Pterodactyls being a threat to airplanes,
yeah,
but they didn't do that. I'm like, that's the movie I wanted. Like, deal with
yeah,
that.
yeah. We can only hope that when the inevitable next one starts, which again, hopefully is a reboot because we don't need any more of Claire and Owen.
They'll just go straight park again.
Maybe.
They will. They'll find like another older person. It's like they'll get a John Hammond. They're like, no, this time we're doing it closer to the book.
Yeah.
Like Muldoon will like blow the head off a raptor in a pipe, like in the book. John Hammond will get eaten by compies, and Ian Malcolm won't
The
live.
gritty reboot.
Yeah, well, they'll just do the book, which is like way
Yeah.
grittier. That's the secret thing. Spielberg made it like better because I love the
Yeah.
book, but like yeah, there's a reason why you bring him in
Yeah.
and
Of
smooth
course.
out some of the other stuff.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, I got one more piece, and this one's just a stupid one, but Edward Scissorhands for our new scissor finger dinosaur, the
Oh yeah.
Therizinosaurus, who
Okay.
basically teams up with the T-Rex to kill the new Gigantosaurus. There's always got to be new dinosaurs in these, and
Mm-hmm.
it's I don't know if this was a real dinosaur. I'm guessing it wasn't.
I don't think so because like I was a huge dinosaur nerd as a kid, so I was like, I don't remember this guy.
Yeah,
Like,
it's kind of too ridiculous to be real, I think.
and it also like it's like oh the old dinosaurs are killing the new one like they did in Jurassic World.
Right. That's
Like
kind
they
of
use the T Rex to fight it, and then the
yeah.
Mosasaur takes it down too. It's like, no, we're like the original ones. By the way, more Mosasaur. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, what are we doing? What are we doing? Why aren't we showing like the cool ones?
Like you have a water dinosaur. Those are like the best. Like you can do Jaws.
They totally could have done that.
Or the Meg, like something like that. Like you can have that sequence.
Absolutely, yeah. And I mean, it got the big cheers in Jurassic World, so
Yeah,
obviously.
And in Fallen Kingdom, like you have the shot of it like in the wave as like the surfers going, like, oh, that's so cool. And then like in the third one where it takes down like the fishing boat.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, don't tease me. Like you can have this be it's a real world problem. Clearly, like that affects, lives and commerce.
Well, do you have any other puzzle pieces you wanted to bring up?
I do. Pacific Rim. Like when they go into like the dino black market and like the guy cutting up dino meat and stuff.
Sure.
Like they do that in Pacific Rim where like they're harvesting, like they're having the dinos fight, which I thought was funny. Like but like the whole black market, the kaiju black market that they had in Pacific Rim.
Yeah.
Was very neat. I'm like, that totally would happen. Like these are the things I want more of. Like this is the like real world how things would go.
Yeah.
Like you can buy copies, or you can buy copies meat on a spittle, or like that stuff was cool.
Yeah, and that, again, that's where we should have went. For the supposed story we were going to be getting of dinosaurs and humans, living together on the planet, like that. We should be getting more of that.
Yeah, and like someone and like a drug lord would have like raptors programmed to be their muscle, you know, the same way like drug lords would have like panthers and stuff that would eat people, and people selling like rhinoceros horn as like an aphrodisiac, like crazy stuff like that. Like that, it should have just been a nuts thing because humans wouldn't be able to deal with dinosaurs, so this is the kind of crap that they would do.
Yeah. Exactly.
But instead, we need to go to another facility in the middle of nowhere. Like it wasn't an island, but
and have a tech billionaire who's trying to destroy the world's crops
for his own financial gain.
Yeah,
and like I'm like, what did
more of that?
I'm like, what did they do for like their normal, like what's their bread and butter stuff? Because it seems like I don't know what he did. Like it wasn't like he sold like Dodgson iPads or whatever.
They didn't even really exist until they set this plan in motion. Like it doesn't feel lived in whatsoever.
The whole thing was like, yeah, they were a competitor to John Hammond's company in the first one, which fine, I get that. Like they're a bioengineering company, but like other than that, like they just sort of disappear. Because even in the second one, it's Hammond's nephew that wants to, I'm gonna open my own park in San Diego. Like that, there wasn't even like rival companies are gonna come take our dinosaurs.
Ridiculous.
I know,
but yeah, Pacific Rim's good though because like the way that the kaiju's just kind of become a way of life, getting more of that in there, and we do get a little bit of it here.
A little, but like there's no Hannibal Chow figure, like there's no Ron Perlman. No. Which you need, like you need something like that. Like I thought the lady, like the lady who had the raptors on command, like she would have been a more fun villain than Dodgson.
Oh yeah, I forgot all about her. She just like disappears halfway through, doesn't she?
Because the police were coming and she ran out of raptors.
That's storytelling.
Well, the girl they throw in to be like the Han Solo, which I guess you could say is another, like the original Star Wars is another piece, like the the rogue who's like, no, I don't want to be part of this, and all of a sudden they're in it.
Yeah,
I'm like, I wish
she is a Han Solo.
I'm like, why is she helping them? Because even like she
didn't want to.
I just felt bad. I saw the girl, and like I don't know.
Yeah,
didn't sit right with me.
More storytelling.
Yeah, I know. Like you're bogging stuff down. You don't need to. Like even like there's some like cool sequences like when she's hiding from the Edward Scissorhands dinosaur in the lake. That was cool.
Yeah.
But like you could like say that's a village would be the puzzle piece. Like when she's trying to like in the woods by herself and like Adrian Brody's there.
Okay.
And she has to be super quiet to avoid him.
Yeah.
Like but like the sequence didn't work because like nothing before it worked. You know what I mean? Like there's no tension.
Sure. Yeah.
Good ideas, but very poor execution.
Yeah, exactly. Well, do you have any others you wanted to bring up?
Not really. I mean, we kind of covered them. Like every Legacy sequel wants to rip off Bourne, Mission Impossible, and Bond, but it doesn't do it as well.
I feel like Ghostbusters Afterlife is a pretty solid comparison, legacy sequel wise. Hitting a lot of those plot beats and having the old characters and the new characters team up, and
you have to ignore a lot with Afterlife though, because there's a lot of things that just make no sense.
Yeah,
like absolutely none.
Yeah,
like they completely sell out Egon as a character.
Yeah, I know. Well, there's people out there who absolutely love that movie, and people who hate it, and I don't
I
know. It's just all
know.
across
It's
the
I'm just
board.
like it happened, and I feel bad that Jason Reitman had to make it almost at gunpoint because I know he did.
Yeah. Well, now I think that's all he's going to be doing is making more Ghostbusters movies.
Poor guy.
Well, let's read down our finished puzzle list here, and we'll get into some closing thoughts. We, of course, talked about the original Jurassic Park, also The Force Awakens, The Avengers, Matrix Revolutions, Moonfall, X-Files, Prey, and Westworld, all of those swarms of things. Peter Jackson's King Kong, Logan, Don't Look Up, Kingsman, Quantum of Solace, and No Time to Die, Edward Scissorhands, Pacific Rim, Star Wars: The Village, and Ghostbusters: Afterlife. A lot of puzzle pieces here. A lot of legacy sequels, of course, because, like I said, it's kind of just it's weird. Like I said, it's like it's a sequel to a movie that came out just a few years ago, but it's also continuing to pull in from the original trilogy, and it's trying to have its cake and eat it too. I think, and I think there's just too many plot threads, too much going on, and
And yet not enough
not
going
enough
on.
dinos,
Not enough dinos.
and not enough.
Yeah, it's like it's so funny. It's like the epic conclusion, like to what?
To what?
Like
Yeah.
it's not like these were really building towards anything. It was like Jurassic World, huge gigantic hit, and then okay, well, what's the sequel? So we got to get off the island because we can't do an island again. But let's have a
Mhm.
black market of dinos. Cool. Oh, I guess they're cloning humans now. Okay, sure. And then now dinosaurs are just part of the world.
Mhm.
But there's no like even like Wong. Like I don't know what they're doing in there because he was like this jaded scientist in World, and like he goes off into Fallen Kingdom where he's like, oh, he's gonna be the bad guy.
Right. Which
Like
why?
that's gonna be your through line.
Why set
Like even
set it
Alan
up
Grant's
that
like,
way?
oh, I remember you, and it's like, do you?
I remember you is a hilarious line because
I
it's like
know.
just being an audience like cipher. It's like ridiculous.
Yeah, it was like the member berries bit from South
Yeah,
Park.
absolutely. Yeah, that's such a funny scene. Are there any other like parts of this that you liked? Because I mean, we've been a little hard on it, I feel like.
I don't know. I liked the beginning,
Hmm.
like when it's showing all the like the way the dinosaurs are messing stuff up. But like that was all part at the very end of that battle of Big Rock or whatever that Trevorrow did,
Sure.
which by the way was cool. Like, did you see that?
You know what? I haven't, and I feel like I should because it seems like it would be
Like,
some of the better ideas.
it was like, oh, well, if this is what this is why I got sucked in. I'm like, oh, this is what it's gonna be. Like, it seemed like, oh, he learned from his mistakes. He got humbled after Book of Henry and then losing Episode 9. Like, okay, maybe it's like he took some stock, and because it's a really cool short.
Yeah.
Like, it's a family in a trailer with a baby, and like there's an Allosaurus that comes to their campsite, and they have to like, stop it.
Yeah.
And it works. Like, oh, like this is like early like Spielberg some stuff. Like the tension's there are stakes. And then it shows like, oh, all the dinosaurs interacting with the world that you see in the beginning of this, and like even that, like I don't know why they would have cut that scene at the drive-in of the T-Rex.
Right.
Like,
I
that
did
would,
see
like,
that scene. I saw that like
because
cut
like
scene.
that's Oliver Progressive and Carl's Jr., but like not in the actual movie.
It's so good, that scene. It's crazy.
I know. I'm like that's what we want.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is like, there's danger here because like there's kids at this movie.
Yeah.
Like that was so scary about the first one. Like when you were little, it's like when it's the big T-Rex scene.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, the kids are in danger, or the kids in the kitchen with the raptors. Like when you're a kid, that's scary because like that could be me.
Yeah. I don't know.
I liked this. I liked the black market. That stuff was cool. Like I thought all that stuff was neat. I liked. I mean, not liked, but like the stuff in with Blue was, I guess, not. It was neat. Like just how they work in the snow.
Yeah, it was.
Like that's an interesting idea.
It's an interesting idea. I don't know that it was necessarily pulled off, but yeah, I
No,
think,
not at all.
I think it's
But
an interesting idea. I like the scene on the ice. Even though
oh yeah, that was neat.
even though it's like very ridiculous and sloppy,
Sure.
but like I just thought it was fun. Like the look on that dinosaur's face was blockbuster movie. You know what I mean? It was like
Yeah.
fun the way that it was running after them and everything.
Yeah, and there were again like Trevorrow, a great ideas guy.
Yeah.
Like a what if we did this? But like he's not. I don't think he's that good of a director, and I feel bad because like everyone like piled on him after Book of Henry. I'm like, oh, but safety not guaranteed was good. There some like interesting ideas, but yeah, there's no execution.
As a curiosity, should I watch Book of Henry? I've never seen it.
It's It's not good, but and it's got a lot of obnoxious tropes. Like I'm sure you'll be like, oh, I know where this is going, and you still won't because like it's very convoluted and very strange.
Yeah.
Like it's so interesting that he wanted to do that.
Yeah.
Like, it's worth. I wouldn't say it's worth your time. Just look up what happens on Wikipedia, and you'd be set.
That's good enough. Yeah.
But it is a fascinating little small movie before I do my even bigger one that he thought was coming.
Right. Yeah.
Like Safety Not Guaranteed actually works.
Yeah.
Even if it's obnoxious, it can be obnoxious.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's aged that well, but like it works. I can see why like Bird, Spielberg, and a bunch of other people are like, oh, this could be the next guy.
Sure.
But he never made that leap.
Yeah. Well, they're probably going to keep giving him chances because that's what happens. But
I don't know. Like maybe I don't know what, but he'd have to just be like a franchise guy. Like I don't think he'll get like a big, unless Netflix will do it, like a big like his own Gray Man or whatever.
Right.
Like an original action property or whatever he wants to do. It'll just be like we're rebooting this, or oh, can you do a sequel to this?
Yeah. Well, I mean it sure makes money, that's for sure. But
oh yeah, no, he'll be fine. But like, I don't think he's clearly not like the next Spielberg or the next anything.
I really don't think so either. But well, I think that does it for Jurassic World Dominion. We finally covered a Jurassic movie on this show. Chauncey, is there another movie you watched recently you'd like to recommend to our listeners?
I would say that I've been bad at watching new movies lately. Just for the time, but like the newest movie I think I've seen that I've loved was Fire Island.
Okay, yeah, I haven't seen that yet. I want to.
I know, I was like, all right, let's put it on, and I really enjoyed it. Like I wonder how it would have done in theaters.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a solid rom-com. It works. Like it does the rom-com thing where it's like we're just doing Jane Austen.
Sure,
but it works. Like Margaret Cho's really funny in it. I really liked Bowen Yang and Joel Kim Booster. He did a really good job with as the lead. Like it works.
Awesome. Yeah, well, I'm definitely looking forward to checking that one out. Where can people find you and your podcast?
My podcast, LA Podfidential, is on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. I write for LAFB Network about the Rams. Training camp's coming up, so I'll be back in full swing on that. On the show, we're mostly covering Miss Marvel, the NBA, free agency, baseball, and all the movie trailers that are coming out.
Awesome. Well, Chauncey, thank you again for joining me. I'm happy to have you back on the show, and hopefully we'll get number 5 in sometime soon.
Oh, there's a lot of good pieces in the fall. Like, there's a lot of stuff to chew on in the fall.
Yeah, we'll find one, and it'll be a good one this time, I'm sure. So
I don't mind doing the bad movies. Like, it's fun to balance it, because what I did, Jungle Cruise, which Old, which I enjoyed.
I like Jungle
Chippendales,
Cruise.
Yeah, it's solid.
Yeah.
Old was fun. Chippendale was fun.
I'll tell you, Old has grown in my, I really like Old the more that I think.
Yeah, me too.
It. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, M. Night's just doing his thing, and I appreciate it. Like, I can't wait for his Cabin movie with Batista.
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to that.
I think that's my birthday movie, actually, because it comes out like that week.
Nice.
I know.
We'll
and then this wasn't the worst thing in the world. It's serviceable.
Serviceable.
I wasn't even angry. I was just like, all right.
If nothing else, it provided some laughs. That's for sure.
Yeah, and just like locusts, huh? Yeah. Locusts. Okay.
Let me go, God, please. Oh, yeah, what? Hello? Help me.
Tonight, we are hearing from the father of one of 3 young men killed in a horrific triple murder in Polk County over the weekend.
I just killed Cassie. We just left her house. This is not a joke. Dude, I just killed Cassie. Oh, that felt like fucking real. I mean, it went by so fast.
Shut the up. We gotta get our act straight.
Okay.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
I'm Lauren.
I am Ken.
And this is Paradise After Dark.
Dark.
Paradise After Dark is a weekly podcast covering true crime,
unsolved mysteries,
missing people,
and urban legends.
We cover cases such as the vampire of Dusseldorf,
the Cracker Barrel murders,
the cases of missing Terrence Williams and Felipe Santos,
serial killer Bobby Joe Long, and much more.
You can find us on all podcast platforms.
If you love true crime and all things mysterious, please give us a listen.
All right, so I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Chauncey Telese about Jurassic World Dominion. You should be subscribed to Chauncey's podcast too. Check the show notes. We got a link to his podcast, LA Podfidential, and of course, all the other links to everything else that you could do, which I'm going to remind you about right now, including subscribing wherever you listen to podcasts. Rate and review us. 5 stars would be nice. You could do that, of course, on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Also, Good Pods, also Podchaser, and a few other places too. So wherever you're listening, if there's a 5-star button, we'd really appreciate it if you'd hit it. And you can follow us on social media at Piecing Pod. Join our Facebook group, Popcorn and Puzzle Pieces. And I should mention our Produced by David Rosen Patreon, where this episode is going up as soon as I hit save and export, and then it will eventually come out when the film hits VOD or streaming. I'm not quite sure yet when I'm going to post this one, but it will be available exclusively for a little while on the Patreon, along with a bunch of other bonus content, advanced episodes of Piecing It Together, bonus episodes of Awesome Movie Year, as well as some exclusive content from my music career. I have a new single coming out very soon, and I'm going to post that at the time of this recording next week on the Patreon as a early bonus. And I've got other stuff that I'm going to be posting on there soon too, including film scores and all kinds of stuff. So check it out. It's patreon.com/bydavidrosen. So you can sign up as little as $3 a month to get bonus content from all of these podcasts and my music. So speaking of my music, let's close this out with a piece of my music. And, with all this talk of DNA and Jurassic and all those periods millions of years ago and all that stuff, let's go with the song Creation from my most recent full-length album, which is self-titled. It's called David Rosen. And, it seems like a good pick. So we'll go with Creation. Hope you enjoy it. We'll be back with more Piecing It Together real soon.
An All Points West production, produced by David Rosen in Las Vegas.